It's always been an event where, compared to other conferences that we go to, where you seem to get a lot of the right people here interacting around very cutting-edge topics.
It's been very, very relevant and very, very interesting. The discussion has been interactive and lively. The presentations have been lively as well.
I think this is the premier event in terms of what's interesting to me as an individual and to our company. We really want to be able to interact with movers and shakers and the key opinion leaders within our industry.
The case studies and the share, especially by the pharmaceutical clients, were very deep and very rich. So it was really invaluable. It was one of the best conferences that I've attended this year, so thank you.
A lot of networking. There's a lot of people that I've met that have come up to me and said, oh, do you know so-and-so? And we've had those kinds of conversations. So it's been fabulous. It's been fabulous, very successful.
It's just a great way to spend a couple days.
I think we've heard a lot of good presentations today, which really sharing new ideas and new approaches. And one of the things I wanted to talk with you about is at the end of the day, each of you came here to learn something that hopefully you can apply back at the shop, if you will. And that's really where the opportunity is in terms of how can we go back and drive change within an organization. Now, taking a look at the time and the schedule of my talk, I figured that if nothing else, I would start with a one-slide strategy, because I may just have your attention at this point for a very short period of time. And so I had to go to a source that I trust implicitly in terms of one of my heroes and one I learn from every day, and that's Scott Adams, the writer of Dilbert, because as long as there's corporate America, his content will be never-ending. So I found actually the perfect slide that talks about change management. So if you remember nothing else from the day, I want to share these pearls with you here. So this is kind of the approach to take in terms of driving change within an organization. Go up to somebody and say, hey, do you have a minute to look at my terrible idea? And then you say, it's the worst idea ever. It's totally impractical. It's bordering on irresponsible. And you may have their attention at that point, and they'll say, okay, why are you saying that about your own idea? And you'll follow it with a quick, you're basically one of those jerks who just disagrees automatically with everything I have to say. Probably have a few people like that you may run into occasionally. So, I'm telling you my idea is awful, so you all feel compelled to say how great it is. But then they think that they've got you, right? Well, now that I know how you plan to manipulate me, it won't work. And then you basically say, I'm surprised to hear that you disagree. Now, take a look at my terrible, terrible idea. And the conclusion is, this is beautiful. This is a great idea. Dance, puppet, dance. So that's a highly effective change management approach, but one that probably I would argue is maybe not sustainable. So I do want to talk to you about some things you can do today to how can you spot opportunities, talk a little bit about metrics, which is a wonderful afternoon topic before cocktails, and then share a little bit about driving a sustainable platform, which I think is really critical when you think about any of these new initiatives that we want to put forward. So first of all, how do you spot opportunities? And I think it's important to start with that you've got to make this very simple. If you're truly interested in driving change within an organization, particularly in a corporate organization, simple equals results. And a lot of times I find it's really useful for me to go back to the good old Webster's and just take a look at that. If it's something that's readily understood and performed, the chances are, if you use that as a foundation, you're going to have success. And what you want to do in a change initiative is put all the efforts in place to give you the best possible chance to succeed with a new approach. But you've got to develop a common approach. And so I thought I would start with an example that I found, which I think is really crystal clear example of a nice, simple, common approach to change management, again, from one of my heroes. Here's something we've done at Sanofi in terms of our baby steps to develop a common platform. And we've really wholeheartedly adopted this jobs to be done model approach. This is based on the work of Professor Clayton Christensen at Harvard. It actually came to us from one of our training partners at Linkage, and they work with Professor Christensen's company called Innosight. But we've found this to be incredibly valuable to help people think about things differently and in a very simple format, spot opportunities. So basically, for those of you that may not be familiar with it, the analogy is this. If you think about a customer and a need that they have or a solution that they're seeking, think of it in terms of hiring for a job, right? And understand what that job to be done is. That outlays the true need that they have, the true solution that people are seeking. Then seek to understand what the ideal hiring criteria are. The better you can dig into that and see what their perfect list of criteria are, and contrast that with the available candidates, both your own offerings as well as other offerings that may be out there for them to choose. It helps you spot gaps. It completely redefines how you look at competition and is a simple way to get to this term we all strive for, which is really truly understanding insights or solutions. And when you find that gap, that's a chance for an innovative approach to solve that problem, to fulfill that job to be done in a way that's different and will truly satisfy and delight that customer. So this is an approach we've taken across our organization that's been incredibly useful, and I'll share some resources later in terms of how you can learn more about this. So develop a common approach. But once you spot opportunities, you want to move those ideas forward, right? And this is where the metrics come into play. And it was interesting listening today, a lot of conversation about different types of metrics that are out there, a lot of talk about ROI. And I would offer, again, I like simple. And any new effort that you want to put forward within an organization, you should be able to answer 4 questions. Okay? If you can do this, again, you're in a good foundation to try to be more successful. These are ridiculously simple, but yet I would encourage you to go back and think about a lot of projects underway today, and it's one of these things that often we can't answer all 4. The first is you need to describe what the heck this thing is. In an elevator speech, if it takes a PowerPoint deck to describe it, you're not focused the right way, okay? Go back. 1 or 2 sentences, quick hit, here's what I'd like to do. Then you need to be able to explain why. What is the rationale for this new initiative? Why do we want to do this? What's the job to be done that this satisfies? What's the reason I'm doing this? Or, from a metrics point of view, what's the outcome that I hope to achieve that's the whole reason I'm doing it? Okay? So describe it, but then talk about why. From here, lay out prospective metrics. Now, I don't mean a comprehensive market forecast or a detailed return on investment. Most of the time, if it's a truly innovative new approach, new markets can't be measured, guys. And forecasting and ROI is just a reason to freeze and not act, okay? However, anything you do, you can put forward prospective measures to say, okay, here's how I'm going to assess progress of this initiative. It can be qualitative, it can be quantitative, but you state it up front. And I would highly recommend that if you have more than 4 core criteria, again, go back to the drawing board. 2 or 3 core things to say, as a team, here's how we're going to assess this initiative, and here's how we're going to learn and adjust from our findings, so that later, at the end, you're not debating from sharing opinions on, I thought it was a success because I felt this way, and someone else is sharing their view. You have a very clear, transparent view of how we're going to measure progress. And then the last thing is have a time frame, have a status, have a start date and an end date. And build in points of learning and adjustment within that so you can stop, learn, adjust if you need to. It's a terrific concept. Your first idea is probably wrong. So if you can learn from that and move, that's a good thing, right? And then what you need to do is you've got to publish these metrics openly. You've got to tell everybody in the organization about it. You can't be afraid to put that out there and say, well, what if I'm wrong and this thing blows up? Great. You just learned something that you can share with the rest of the organization that you can go back now and take a different approach. All right? So create simple metrics. Answer these 4 questions. Again, if you're spotting opportunities from a jobs to be done point of view, you can answer these 4. You're building a foundation that's better. And it works. It really works.